Hey everybody, John O'Connor here again. And you know what my problem is? Children. Kids. Adolescents. Teenagers. In role-playing. Now this is a video response to Alex Gillott's would you let your PCs have children in the session, or the game? To which I say yes. Oh, absolutely. But it is the understood agreement of DM, GM with player. You have allowed your children to come in. You understand at some point they could be used as cannon fodder. It's one of those unspoken rules. Personal connections can be used against you. But in the video, there was a couple examples given of why your children would be adventuring with you, or why they would be a plot hook. But something that wasn't covered that I think needs to be talked about. Well, doesn't need to be talked about, but should be talked about. I mean, that's why you come to my channel, to hear me ramble, to hear me talk about the random stuff, to hear a point of perspective that you don't normally get. So, what I think should have been talked about, what I will be talking about, what about the returning hero? Or heroine? What about that adventurer who comes back after the 15-year trek to find out they have a child? Or, maybe it's the old Homer's Odyssey trope, where you did have a child, you went to war, now you're back, and they're old enough to have conversations with you. I think this would be a fun dynamic to have in a role-playing session of, alright, well, at session 1, we were in the tavern, and, we were about to leave for this grand adventure to go slay this dragon or grand wizard. We thought it would take a couple weeks turned into, a few years turned into a decade and a half. Now I understand that most adventures probably won't go that way, but there are occasionally time jumps, or you play a PC and you put it away and you bring it back later. But this is the part of a DM taking a lot of good notes. So, the basic idea here is you had that one last stand. You had that one last night of glory and hallelujah. Now you've returned 15 years later. Your name is known throughout the land. Your glory is spread. Bards tell your story. And you find out that the tavern wench that you were impressing because you told her of all the things you were going to go do comes to you and says, here's your son. That's what I want to roleplay. That's the conversation I want to have. I want to see if the kid has any animosity toward the character. I want to see those awkward questions being asked about, did you ever think about me? Did you know I existed? What kind of relationship can we have? These are the questions and the awkward moments that I want to see the player endure. Yes, you can slay a dragon. Yes, you can charm the bar wench. Yes, you can even take a gold piece, bounce it off a table, and knock it into a shot glass. But can you have a conversation with your own child? Now, this is only one of many possibilities of how this scenario plays out. Another great scenario, if you're doing this with a female character, which, why aren't you? She gave the kid up. One reason or another. Here it is years later. This is a scenario that actually played out in one of my campaigns before, where this NPC who was always doting over one character, and I even had the players ask me, what the hell's going on with this? What the hell's going on with this? What? It wasn't the PC was always in the picture. The NPC was always in the picture. But when they always doted over one character. If they had to go into combat, they always covered one character's flank as opposed to somebody else's. And this went on for a couple months. Until finally, there was a huge argument between, it was one of Nicole's characters. She was playing a paladin, and I was playing this middle-aged woman cleric. And so there's finally this argument bust out, and it's finally asked, why the hell are you always protecting me, watching over me? And it finally slips. I gave you up to an orphanage. And there's that moment of awkward silence. There's that, what do you mean? And through the next couple of sessions, the story slowly unfolded about, look, there was circumstances of things I didn't know. I was only, the female, the cleric, I can't think of her name right now, told Nicole's character, I was 15. I didn't know any better. Things happened. I was a reckless kid. And 9 months later, you happened. Gave you to an orphanage. I then went into a monastery myself. I never thought we'd meet again, but, you know, one sign after another, I realized that you are my child. So there was these stages of anger, animosity, confusion, you know, before finally the acceptance of, okay, this is actually happening kind of set in. So it is a fun, I wouldn't say the word gimmick, but it is a fun idea of, okay, yes, you allow children into your campaign, but while you can do that where you're finding some reason of why they're traveling with you or why they've had to come on this particular adventure, that's one way to go about things. I think you'd have a better time, though, if they weren't part of the adventure and realistically weren't part of the character's life until, you know, here's this epic high and you're coming down on it and you finally find out, oh, wow, I do have a kid. Or, wow, if you're playing the female character, wow, my child found me. So, what do you guys think? Would you allow children in your role plays? And if so, what are the conditions of how they come in? I'd love to hear back from you, and I hope you enjoyed this video. And as always, if you are enjoying the content I'm producing, please like, share, and subscribe. I look forward to the comments, guys.